Our last breakfast potato are shredded hash browns that I like to cook nice and well done. For this recipe, you will need 3 medium russet potatoes, a half an onion, and 1 green bell pepper. I'm going to first start off by peeling all 3 of my potatoes, and make sure that you store them in water after you finish peeling them so they do not oxidize and turn brown. When peeling them, make sure that you are peeling them completely, and you can use the side of your peeler to scoop out any of the eyes that are not peeling away. All of the flesh of the potato that is edible part. After I complete peeling all 3 of my potatoes, I am going to peel them with the side of the box grater that has the second largest grating side on it. After we've completed grating all 3 of our potatoes, we're going to take a bowl and we're going to place our shredded potatoes into a bowl and cover them with cold water. The reason why we do this is so that they do not oxidize or turn brown before we are ready to prepare them. When we're ready to prepare them, what we're going to do is we are going to strain them, but then we are going to rinse them. We rinse them to get all of the starches that are on the potatoes off. This will help them not become mushy while you are cooking them. Now I'm going to prepare my onion and my pepper. I'm going to peel my onion and I'm going to clean my pepper. The way I like to prepare my pepper is I like to cut around the stem in order to get all of the edible portion off, and I actually leave the stems in the center attached. Now that I've diced my onions and peppers to a medium dice, I'm going to start heating up my saute pan with about 1/4 cup of olive oil. We're going to need a lot of olive oil for this recipe because we want to make sure that the potatoes get nice and golden brown and that they also do not stick to the bottom of my pan. I'm going to place my onions and my peppers into the bottom of my preheated pan, and I'm going to let them sweat until they are soft and the onions are translucent in color. There is no need to constantly stir this at this point because you want to make sure that the onions and peppers have constant contact with the heat source, and the more you stir it around, the less contact it's going to have on the bottom of the pan with the heat. While my onions and peppers are sweating, I'm going to take a piece of cheesecloth and actually squeeze out as much excess liquid that is left inside of the potatoes. Even though we strain them, the potatoes actually do contain a lot of moisture. So if I take this cloth, and if you have a clean dish cloth, you can actually do the same, and I'm going to squeeze as much as the water out that I can. You'd be amazed at how much liquid is going to come out of these potatoes. The reason I do this is because I really want my potatoes to crisp up, and if they have a lot of moisture in them, what's going to happen is they are going to steam instead of brown. So now I will take my potatoes and I will take them out of the cheesecloth, and I can leave them right now in my strainer. Yes, I know that my strainer is from the 1980s or maybe even before, but I love it so much. So now my onions and my peppers, they are nice and soft and tender. They have a little bit of color, but that's okay. I'm going to take my potatoes and I'm going to actually add them to the pan. When I do this, I'm going to first spread out all of the potatoes onto the bottom of the pan, And the reason why I do this is because I'm actually going to season the potatoes, so I want to make sure that I have a large surface to season the potatoes. You're going to need about 2 teaspoons of salt. Don't be afraid if you're putting too much. The potatoes need the salt for flavor. I'm going to do some black pepper, about half a teaspoon. Next, I'm going to add onion powder and garlic powder, about 1 teaspoon of each one of these two seasonings. After I add my seasonings, I am going to completely stir my potatoes and my onions and my peppers. I want to make sure at this point that all of the potatoes are being evenly coated with the olive oil that's on the bottom of the pan. I also want to make sure that all of my seasonings are being really well distributed throughout all of the potatoes. After the potatoes cook for about 8 minutes, you may want to go in and do a taste test to see if there is enough salt and pepper. You want to do this before the potatoes start to caramelize or brown, because at that point what's going to happen is that they're going to start to set up and stiffen like a pancake. Within the first couple of minutes, I like to just make sure that the pan is hot enough. I may stir it once or twice, and then I'm going to let the potatoes sit in the bottom of the pan and work their magic. As you can tell, I actually switched pans in the middle of the demo because the pan was too big for my burner and it wasn't getting enough heat to caramelize. So now you can see that the potatoes are cooking. They are browning really nicely. And what I like to do is I actually like to take my spatula and kind of cut it up in sections so it's easier for me to flip, because I really like my hash browns well done. If you don't want them well done, you can actually... As you can see, I changed my pan in the middle of the demo. I felt that the pan was not getting hot enough and it was actually too big for my burner on my electric stove. So I switched to a griddle pan where I had much better results. At this point, the potatoes are ready, but I like them a little bit well done. So what I do is I actually take my spatula and I cut the potatoes into sections and I flip them over, and you see how nice and golden brown they are on the other side. I let them cook on the second side for about 4 to 5 minutes until that side is golden brown as well. This may not be the most beautiful recipe, but it sure is delicious. I hope you enjoyed my demo today.